I spent my whole life hating him, the boy who broke my heart in high school. But when my best friend begged me to be her maid of honor, I had no choice but to say yes. The problem? The best man was him. Truce? He whispered as we were paired for the first dance. I rolled my eyes, not a chance. But then he pulled me closer and murmured, "What if I told you I never stopped loving you?" My heart pounded as I realized. Maybe I never stopped loving him either. I never imagined that returning to Charleston, South Carolina, would stir up so many emotions. This city, with its historic charm and cobblestone streets, held memories I had long tried to forget. But when my best friend, Sarah, asked me to be her maid of honor, I couldn't say no. The catch? The best man was Jake, the boy who shattered my heart during our senior year at Charleston High School. Jake and I met during our junior year. He was the star quarterback, and I was deeply involved in the drama club. Our worlds collided during a school fundraiser, and from that moment, we were inseparable. We spent countless afternoons strolling through Waterfront Park, sharing dreams and stolen kisses under the shade of ancient oak trees. Our relationship felt like something out of a fairy tale. We talked about attending the College of Charleston together, building a future side by side. But as senior year progressed, things changed. Jake became distant, often canceling plans and avoiding my calls. Rumors began to swirl, but I dismissed them, trusting him implicitly. One evening, after rehearsing for an upcoming play, I decided to surprise Jake at his home. As I approached, I noticed his car wasn't there. Concerned, I called him, but it went straight to voicemail. On a hunch, I drove to his best friend's house, a place where the team often gathered. Parking a few houses down, I approached quietly. Laughter and music spilled from the backyard. Peering through the fence, my heart stopped. There was Jake, his arms wrapped around another girl, my closest friend, Emily. They were laughing, sharing the kind of intimacy that was once ours. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Betrayal cut deep, not just from Jake but from Emily as well. Tears blurred my vision as I stumbled back to my car, the weight of their deceit pressing down on me. The following days were a blur. I confronted Jake, but he had little to say, his guilt evident. Emily avoided me altogether. The halls of Charleston High became suffocating, whispers and pitying glances following me everywhere. Graduation couldn't come soon enough. I left Charleston for college, determined to put the past behind me. Over the years, I built a life elsewhere, only returning for brief visits to see family. Jake became a distant memory, a lesson in trust and heartbreak. Years later, Sarah called with news of her engagement. She gushed about her fiancé, Mike, and their plans for a spring wedding at Magnolia Plantation. I was thrilled for her until she mentioned the bridal party. "Jake is Mike's best man," she said hesitantly. "I understand if it's too much, but it would mean the world to me if you were my maid of honor." The thought of facing Jake again made my stomach churn. But Sarah had been my rock during the darkest times, and I couldn't let her down. I agreed, pushing aside my apprehensions. The rehearsal dinner was held at a charming restaurant overlooking the Ashley River. The setting sun cast a golden hue over the water, and the scent of blooming jasmine filled the air. I arrived early, hoping to find a quiet corner to collect myself. As I sipped my drink, a familiar voice broke through my thoughts. "Lily?" I turned to see Jake standing there, time having only enhanced his features. His blue eyes searched mine, a mixture of surprise and something else, regret. "Jake," I acknowledged, my voice steady. He took a step closer, then paused. "I didn't know you'd be here." "Sarah's my best friend," I replied, raising an eyebrow. "Of course, I'm here." He nodded, rubbing the back of his neck, a nervous habit I remembered all too well. "Listen, about high school. I was a jerk. I hurt you, and I've regretted it ever since." I took a deep breath, the old wounds aching anew. "Jake, that was a long time ago. We've both moved on." "Have we?" he asked softly. "Because seeing you now, it feels like yesterday." Before I could respond, Sarah called us over for dinner. Saved by the Bell. Wedding Day Magnolia Plantation was in full bloom, the gardens a riot of colors and fragrances. As maid of honor, I was paired with Jake for the ceremony. Standing beside him, memories flooded back, the good and the bad. During the reception, the DJ announced the bridal party dance. Jake extended his hand, a hopeful look in his eyes. "Truce," he whispered as we stepped onto the dance floor. I hesitated, then placed my hand in his. "Not a chance," I replied, though my tone lacked conviction. As we swayed to the music, he leaned in closer. "What if I told you I never stopped loving you?" My heart pounded, confusion and longing warring within me. The night was far from over, and I had a feeling things were about to get even more complicated. I didn't say anything. My feet kept moving, but my mind was a mess. Jake's words, "I never stopped loving you," kept echoing like a bad song stuck on repeat. He must have noticed the look on my face because he pulled back a little and said, "Sorry. I shouldn't have said that." "You think?" I snapped. "It's been years, Jake. You don't just drop that in the middle of someone's wedding." He looked hurt, but I didn't care. "Not really. Not yet." Later that night, I tried to avoid him. I kept close to Sarah, made small talk with distant cousins I hadn't seen in years, danced with Mike's awkward groomsmen just to keep busy. But Jake kept finding ways to appear. A glance from across the room. A drink handed to me without asking. A quick, "You good?" as he passed by. It was like the air got thinner every time he was near. Things took a turn after the cake cutting. I went outside to get some air. The garden behind the reception hall was quiet, just the soft chirping of crickets and the distant buzz of conversation. I needed a moment alone. But of course, Jake found me. "I'm not trying to mess up your night," he said. "I swear." I sighed, arms crossed. "Then why are you saying things like that?" "Because it's true," he said. "I've lived with the regret every day since you left." "You think that fixes anything?" "No. But maybe it's a start." I turned to face him fully. "Do you want to talk about what really happened back then? Because you've never said it." "Not once." He looked at the ground, hands shoved in his pockets. "I was scared. You were everything I ever wanted and I knew I was going to lose you when you went to college. Emily, she was just there. It was stupid. I was stupid." "That's not an apology," I said quietly. He stepped closer. "I'm sorry. I was selfish. I didn't think about how much I was hurting you. And I never should have touched her. I wish I could go back and stop myself." For a second, I saw the boy I once loved. Honest. Open. Regretful. But then, twist number one, Sarah walked into the garden, holding her phone, pale as a ghost. "Lily," she said, her voice shaking. "You need to see this." She handed me her phone. It was a photo, taken just last week, of Jake and Emily. Together. Again. Smiling. At a bar in Atlanta. "What the hell is this?" I asked, my voice rising. Jake's face drained of color. "It's not what you think." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Really? Then what is it?" She reached out, he stammered. "We met once. Just for closure." "Closure?" I said, now furious. "You told me you never stopped loving me. Meanwhile, you're off meeting the girl who wrecked everything between us." Sarah looked torn. I didn't want to believe it either. But she sent me the photo. Said she thought you should know. I handed the phone back to Sarah and stared at Jake. "You lied to me again. After all this time." Jake took a step forward, but I held up my hand. "Don't." It got worse back inside. I didn't talk to anyone. I just sat at the edge of the dance floor, watching people enjoy their night. I felt sick. Then Emily herself had the nerve to text me. "Hey. Hope you're well. I ran into Jake. It was good catching up. Just wanted you to know there are no hard feelings. I showed the text to Sarah. Do you think she planned this? I asked. I don't know, she whispered. But she definitely wanted you to see that photo. It made sense. Emily had always liked to stir the pot. She couldn't stand it that I was happy without her. And now she saw a chance to hurt me again. Twist number 2. Just when I thought the night couldn't get more chaotic, Mike, Sarah's fiancé, approached us looking completely panicked. I need to talk to you both. Now. He pulled us into a side room, where the wedding planner and one of the groomsmen stood waiting. The caterer just told me, he said, rubbing his temples. There's been a mix-up with the hotel rooms. What kind of mix-up? Sarah asked. Some of the reservations got dropped. There aren't enough rooms at the main hotel for the bridal party. Sarah's face fell. So where's everyone supposed to stay? Jake walked in, clearly having followed us. There's still space at the rental house I got for the weekend, he said. It has 4 rooms. Lily can have one. Everyone looked at me. I nearly laughed again. You've got to be kidding. I won't bother you, he added quickly. You can lock the door. I'll even sleep on the couch. Sarah squeezed my hand. It's just one night. I didn't answer. The air in that room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I didn't want to be near Jake. Not after everything. But part of me, deep down, wanted answers. Real ones. And I knew I wouldn't get them unless I stayed. I took a deep breath. Fine, I said. One night. That's it. We drove to the rental house in silence. Jake was behind the wheel. Sarah and Mike took their car, giving us space, maybe to talk, maybe just to cool off. I stared out the window, refusing to make eye contact. My brain was going in circles. He lied. Or maybe he didn't lie, but he didn't tell the full truth either. And Emily? Of course she would show up now, with her perfect little timing. The house was nice. One of those big southern-style homes with tall ceilings, creaky wooden floors, and a porch that looked like it belonged in a movie. But none of that mattered. I just wanted the night to end. Jake handed me the key to one of the rooms. You can have this one. I'll sleep downstairs. Good, I said without looking at him. I locked the door behind me, sat on the edge of the bed, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. That's when I heard my phone buzz. A number I didn't recognize had texted me. You don't know everything. Ask Jake about Maddie. I stared at the screen. Maddie? I didn't know a Maddie. At least, I didn't think I did. I sat there, heart pounding, reading the message over and over. Was this a prank? I waited a few minutes, then texted back. Who is this? No response. I went downstairs. Jake was sitting on the couch, a beer in his hand, staring at the muted TV. He looked up, startled. We need to talk, I said. He nodded slowly. Okay. I held up my phone. Who's Maddie? Jake went pale. His hands trembled slightly as he put the beer down. Where did you hear that name? Does it matter? He exhaled, head in his hands. God. I was hoping I wouldn't have to, just say it, I snapped. You said you wanted to be honest? Now's your chance. He looked up at me with tired eyes. Maddie's, my daughter. My legs nearly gave out. I had to grab the back of a chair. What? I had a one-night stand, about 2 years after you left Charleston. I was drinking a lot back then, trying to forget everything. Her name was Vanessa. We didn't even keep in touch after. He rubbed his face, struggling with the words. But one day she showed up at my door. Pregnant. Said it was mine. I didn't believe her at first. I asked for a paternity test, it was mine. I sank into the nearest chair. My chest felt tight. You have a daughter. He nodded. She's 5 now. Her name's Maddie. I take care of her part-time. Her mom moved to Atlanta a couple years ago, and that's where I went to visit them. I stared at him. So the picture of you and Emily was real. But it wasn't what you think. Emily's friends with Vanessa. She was there. At the same bar. She came over to talk. Took the photo. Probably sent it to you to stir up drama. You expect me to believe that? No, he said honestly. I wouldn't either. But it's the truth. Twist number 3, I didn't know what to feel. Anger? Shock? Sadness? But before I could sort anything out, Jake's phone buzzed. He checked it, then stood up abruptly. Shit. It's Vanessa. He answered, pacing the room. Vanessa? What's wrong? Wait, what? His face turned white again. He turned to me, eyes wide. Maddie's missing. What do you mean, missing? She was with her sitter. Vanessa just got home and the sitter's freaking out. The front door was unlocked. Her backpack is still there, but she's gone. My stomach dropped. Jake was already grabbing his keys. I have to go. I'm coming with you, I said, standing. He didn't argue. We got in the car and sped toward Atlanta. 3 hours of white-knuckle driving, neither of us saying a word. And in the back of my mind, a single thought played over and over again, what the hell is going on? The drive to Atlanta was torture. Jake barely blinked the entire time, eyes locked on the road like if he stared hard enough, he could will everything to be fine. I sat beside him, heart pounding, hands clenched in my lap. Maddie. A little girl I didn't even know existed until an hour ago, and now she was missing. When we got to Vanessa's apartment, it was chaos. The police were there. Vanessa was sobbing on the front porch. A female officer was taking notes while another officer canvassed the area. Jake ran straight to Vanessa, and I followed a few steps behind. She was playing in the living room, Vanessa cried. I stepped out for 5 minutes, just 5, and when I came back, the sitter was panicking, saying the front door was open. Maddie was gone. Jake's face crumpled. He pulled Vanessa into a hug. We'll find her. I swear. I stood awkwardly, feeling like I was watching a scene I wasn't supposed to be in. Then, another voice cut through the noise. She's not missing. Everyone turned. Standing at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed and smirking like a villain from a soap opera, was Emily. What the hell? I snapped. Jake stepped forward. Emily, what are you talking about? I took her, she said calmly. Well, not took. I found her wandering and brought her back to my place. She's fine. You what? Vanessa shrieked. Call it insurance, Emily said with a shrug. I figured you'd all lose your minds and come running. Which you did. Jake marched toward her, rage boiling over. Are you insane? That's a child. Emily didn't flinch. A child you forgot to mention when you were trying to worm your way back into Lily's heart. The street went dead silent. Even the cops seemed confused about what to do. I walked up slowly, trying to keep my voice level. Where is Maddie? She's with my sister. Safe. Watching cartoons, Emily replied, like this was all part of some twisted game. You did this to hurt me, I said. Emily's expression flickered. You ruined my life, Lily. You walked away from all of it like you were the victim. Like Jake didn't break me too. You slept with my boyfriend. I yelled. And you took everything else, she screamed back. People liked you. They forgave you. I was the one who got tossed aside. Jake still talks about you like you're some perfect memory. Jake tried to interrupt, but I cut him off. This isn't about you anymore. It's about a child you dragged into this. Emily's shoulders slumped. I didn't mean to hurt her. I wanted you to feel what I felt. Forgotten. Unwanted. The police took over then. Emily gave them her sister's address, and they sent an officer to bring Maddie back. No charges were filed, it was technically miscommunication, and Maddie was unharmed, but the damage was done. Vanessa refused to let Jake take Maddie for the rest of the weekend. She slammed the door in his face and told him to come back when he could act like a father, not a soap opera lead. Jake didn't argue. Back in the car, neither of us spoke. It wasn't until we pulled into the driveway of the rental house back in Charleston that he finally said, "I'm sorry. For all of it." I looked at him, exhausted. "I believe you. But it doesn't fix anything." He nodded, eyes glossy. "I don't expect it to." We sat there in silence for a while. The next morning, I packed my things before anyone else was up. I left a note for Sarah, thanking her for the honor of being by her side, but saying I needed to go home. Not back to Charleston, home. Where there were no ghosts hiding in gardens or old flames stirring up pain. Jake caught me just as I was putting my suitcase in the car. "Are you leaving?" he asked. "Yeah. Will I ever see you again?" I looked at him, really looked at him. "I don't know." He nodded. "If it means anything, I do love Maddie." I didn't know how to tell you without it sounding like I was hiding her. "I know," I said quietly. He took a step forward, but stopped himself. "If we'd met at a different time," I smiled sadly. We didn't. Reflection driving away, I felt a mix of sadness, anger, and something else I couldn't name. Relief, maybe. Closure. Jake was part of my past. A big part. And for a second, I thought we could rewrite the ending. But life isn't a romance novel, and not all love stories are meant to be told twice. Some are better left as memories. Some truths are better faced than avoided. And some people, no matter how much we love them, just aren't meant to stay. But I'd survived. Again. And this time I wasn't the broken one walking away. I was the one moving on.